All right, today we're going to talk about wedging. The only thing you need for wedging is your canvas and your clay. So what I've done is I have duct taped my canvas to my table. At school you won't be able to do that. We have a wedging table, but we also have boards that will be at your tables. But at home you are able to just tape it, or you can binder clip your canvas to the table. Otherwise you can just leave it and just know that your canvas might pick up as you're wedging. Then you need about a softball size of clay. This clay is not wedged at all to start out, and neither will yours be. So the reason we wedge is to get all of the air bubbles out of our clay. So if we look, if I were to cut this in half, all of these are air bubbles. And these little spots, if I don't get all the air bubbles out, what's going to happen is my clay is actually going to explode, because the air inside these bubbles is going to expand, and then my clay, when it's heated up in the kiln, the air has to get out somehow, so it's going to break out through the bubbles. So I don't want that. Now I separated these two. I'm going to put them back together. There you go. So what wedging does is it pushes all the bubbles out, and then it also starts to organize the molecules of your clay. So right now they're probably really jumbled, and then the goal of wedging is to organize the clay molecules into a spiral. So when you start to wedge, you're going to hit your ball of clay into a nice ball. It's always easier to start with a ball of clay. I am wearing an apron, so you'll want to wear an apron, or just an old t-shirt works too. And then I want to push my sleeves up, take all my watches, jewelry, everything off. Move my knife to the side so I don't get full clay. I don't get hurt. There we go. And I'm ready to start. If you have small hands or exceptionally large hands, you'll need a different amount of clay. So you want to be able to, when you're holding your clay, you want your hands not to touch all the way around, but you still want to be able to have your fingers almost touch all the way around. So if you've got small hands, you'll need a smaller ball of clay. If you've got big hands, you're going to need a bigger amount of clay. So you'll start here. You're going to start right in the middle. And you're going to hold your clay, and you're going to make a sort of heart with your hands. And then you're going to, you should be standing up during this time. Then you're going to start pushing, and you're not going to push so much that it spreads all the way out like a pancake. You want to make this sort of cow's nose shape. So you're going to have kind of those two nostrils, and then the bottom and the top of the nose. And then you're going to tip it up toward you. So you're always rolling it and rocking it toward you. And you're going to do that again. As you go, you're going to want the sides of your hands to be pushing these sides in. Otherwise, what's going to happen is if I don't ever cup my hands and I just keep doing this, then it spreads way out and it starts to coil, and you're not really being as effective. So I want to keep it so that my hands are always constantly pushing in and keeping my form really condensed. Now, once you get that really good wedging motion, you're going to have this happen, and that's a good sign. That means that you're pushing, look at all these bubbles that are coming out. You're pushing clay bubbles out. You're organizing those molecules. You can start to see this little spiral on the edge too. So you're going to want to do this about 10 times once you have a really good motion. One mistake I see people make is, instead of just a gentle push, what they do is they push like this, and they make this really wide nose, and not only are you cracking that clay inside, but then when you rock it on its side, you can see as I fold this over, I'm going to get a big air bubble, so I'm just going to keep folding air into there. That's not a good sign. So I'm going to push it back into my circle, and then I'm going to wedge it 10 more times because I messed it all up. So if you've got a really good wedging system going, you're going to want to do it about 10 times. If you do it a lot more than 10, you're going to notice your clay start to dry out. All right, now what to do with all of this? I don't just smooth it out. What I need to do, I've got some kind of cracks in the side. I'm just going to hit my clay back into a really nice ball. And that should take care of everything. If you want to see how good of a job you did, one thing that's really helpful is just to try cutting your clay in half, and then you can see how you did. But at the end, you want to kind of hit it back into this ball that has no cracks and no kind of weird spots. I'm going to try cutting it in half. We'll see how I did. Pretty good. You can see here I've got 2 little pinholes. Those might have come out as I worked, but no big holes. All the big holes are gone. This is just from my knife pulling up. All the big holes are gone, and if I go and I roll this out, it's not going to be anything crazy, and I probably won't have any bubbles in there.